start with Jeff up front here.
You can share this one.
Hey, Nathaniel.
Hi.
Have you seen Adolis today, and how's he feeling, and how are you guys prepared to go forward without him in this game?
I've seen him. I think how he's feeling is for comment for somebody who's much higher than me on the totem pole. Yeah, we're gonna adjust. We're gonna compete.
Who else? We'll start with Sean, then Levi. Go ahead, Sean.
Yeah, I mean, just on that topic of adjusting, and I mean, you guys have had a lot of injuries this season, a lot of you've been resilient through a lot of things. I mean, is that the same mindset if a guy like Adolis goes down for whatever time it might end up being?
Yeah, whoever slots into his spot in the lineup is going to do a great job. Whoever plays right field is going to do a great job. It's nothing new to us. Stinks that that's the guy who goes down position-wise, but yeah, we've dealt with this on the pitching side a lot, and I feel like we've done a pretty good job with when it happens to position players too.
Go to Levi right here.
From a game planning standpoint,
Yep.
It seems unusual to get a bullpen game in the World Series, but here we are. What specific challenges does that present to you guys, and how do you approach a bullpen game?
Well, you have to go into it prepared to face the 2 or 3 guys that you probably don't really want to face. But again, that's why teams do the bullpen matchups, because they try and fit guys into pockets in the lineup to where there's the most advantage. So, you know, if the pitch to look for today is different for all 2 or 3, maybe 4 pitchers that you face, then you have to adjust and go out there and do your job.
Other questions? Go to the back.
Is there any part of your mind that has any consideration for winning the whole thing at home, or is that completely irrelevant?
Now we can only go 1-0 or 0-1 today. It'd be cool. You know, it'd be cool to win in front of the home crowd, but if we win these next 2, nobody's going to say no. So yeah, but you know, we can only win 1 game today, so that's what we're focused on.
Other questions for Nathaniel? Gabe right here.
Yeah, given the potential depth problems you guys have, how big is it now that Evan has stepped forward the way he has, Leote has come on a little bit? You guys still feel you'll be pretty strong 1 through 9 regardless, right?
Yeah. Yeah, so you said a word there that if I said that word my junior year to my head coach, the P word, then you'd probably run, right? Because it's a challenge. It's not a problem. So it's something that the team is challenged with, something that we'll have to adapt to. But again, we've got great players behind him. Evan's been fantastic. Travis is going to do a great job. If they throw Robbie in right, he's going to do a great job. We got a lot of guys, you know, maybe they haven't been on fire like Adolis has been, but we got a lot of guys that we're confident in that are going to take great at-bats, play great defense, and run the bases well.
Dave, back center.
You mentioned Travis, and he's in right field tonight for Adolis. Obviously, a different skill set than what Adolis brings to it. But what is it? He had a pretty big impact in the first half of the season for you guys. Bring speed, being on base. What kind of jolt does he give you guys? What can he bring to the table for you guys?
Yeah, he's great. You know, he's a great table setter. He'll probably downplay extra base hits because he feels like that's not his calling card. But there was a while there where he was really rolling and, you know, hitting some doubles and running himself into some triples. And I know he hit a homer that he doesn't like to talk about. But, you know, and we forget, too, I think it might have been Los Angeles he got put in there at the end and made almost one of the greatest plays I've ever seen, jumping into the crowd, and the ball popped out of his glove. So he's going to play a premium right field for us. He's going to run hard. He's going to give us what we need in a right fielder.
Go to Newey near the back.
Nate, can you speak to the defense this team has played? There have been several plays throughout this World Series that you guys have made. Not talked about as much as the offense here, but like even last night, the double play that was made.
Yeah, that comes from pitchers getting ahead in the count and getting the ball in play. And I've noted that before, that when you're on your heels and it's 2-0, 3-0, you're behind in the count, the defense can get flat. But our guys have done such a better job of getting ahead in the count and getting the ball in play that we have a chance to make those plays. And obviously, you know, Corey being the top-tier shortstop that he is, makes that play. Marcus makes a great turn, and I go out there and get the ball for a big double play. It may not be as glorious as a 2-run homer or the big double in the gap or something of the sort, but I'll tell you what, making outs in the postseason is what's really going to help us win this championship.
Stay back there with Jared.
Now, you guys have had some tough plays, I guess, balls hit to you in which a pitcher's had a cover, and you guys have converted those in outs. What's been the biggest difference between the dynamic between you and the pitcher defensively this year compared to last year?
We brought in a lot of guys who care about converting that out. You know, it felt like there had been a couple times before where I'd been embarrassed on a ball that kind of skipped away from me and I have a chance to flip it to first and nobody's there. But from the beginning of spring training with PFPs and covering first and that whole thing, it was a big point of emphasis with the whole staff. And Nathan Eovaldi actually gives me a little something every time I flip him the ball. So yeah, I know he obviously wants to get those put outs, and it may bother Beasley that I flip him the ball when I'm 3 or 4 steps away from the base, because the adage is you never want the pitcher to handle the ball off the mound. But we're doing a better job of making outs, and it feels like they care.
Go to Levi right here.
I feel like you were intentionally vague about this, but I'm going to ask, what do you mean by he gives you a little something when you flip him the ball?
$100.
Fantastic.
A nice, crisp blue strip. So those games where Evo gets 3 or 4 ground outs, that's pretty good for me.
Go Ron right up front.
Have you noticed out on the field this year the difference in game times and that you're on your feet out in defense somewhat less?
A little bit, yeah. I think the pace of play is really good. I think the pitch clock is good for that. There's a couple other gripes I have with it personally. I like to slow things down in the batter's box. I don't love the idea that you get penalized with a strike for not being ready at 8 seconds when sometimes a pitcher will walk around and get off the mound. But I think that from what I've heard of people that pay attention to our games, it's really more interactive, and the pitch clock is good for baseball. So, it's nice not to have the 4.5-hour Wednesday afternoon game where you're traveling from one city to another and you've been on the field all day and you're exhausted and can't make the most of the flight in the evening. But, pitch clock is good for baseball.
Eric, the 5th row on your left.
Hey, Nate, how do you think the ball carried last night? And also, is the turf here identical to the turf in Texas in terms of the way the ball plays?
I think this turf is a little more grabby than Texas. Sometimes it feels like you can hit a ground ball and it's like you're hitting it on top of a pool table where it'll really skip and not really turn over and start top spinning until the 2nd or 3rd hop. And here it'll start turning over. It's not quite as bouncy as Toronto's is, but the turf that we play on, the turf in Tampa, feels like the ball really gets on it really fast. And then as far as the ball traveling, I felt like it flew pretty normal last night. It didn't feel like there was a big advantage from having the roof open. I personally love the roof open for flyover purposes, and outside of that, it played like a pretty straight up game.
Nate, thanks so much for your time. Appreciate it.
Yep.